Welcome back to NFL Twin Take, NFL TwinCast, our football fanatics. First off, Last Dance merch, baby. Scottie Pippen is pimping, man. Dynasty, Bulls.
So if you're listening to the podcast, Kyle's excited because it's a throwback Stitch Scottie Pippen
That's
jersey.
right. And Dynasty. So welcome back to Bristol, Connecticut, guys, the ESPN headquarters. So before we get started, we're almost done with our grades for each division for the draft. We just have two AFC divisions left. Today we're going to cover the AFC South.
Probably the worst division in football. This is an NFC East.
Yeah, and then next we have the AFC North left. So then we'll be done covering all divisions. But first, I want to get to something that's absolutely ridiculous. So Power Football Focus did their rankings for
Pro Football Focus.
Pro Football Focus. They did their rankings. Should be called Pee Wee Football Focus after the rankings because this is just.
Have the Bears ever been on that?
Can I talk, please? Khalil Mack attack probably got robbed on there, but so they had Russell Wilson ranked 33rd for this decade for the best football players. 33rd. They had 3 or 4 Seahawks in front of him. I'm sorry, remind me. And he has 0 MVP votes. This is absolutely ridiculous.
Okay. Let me stop you for a second. Russell Wilson by far is
better than Aaron Rodgers,
but he is Drew Brees of his generation. Dude, Drew Brees is the same size. They're both great players. They're both humble. They do everything you want in a quarterback, but they never get.
Dude, the guy's like Houdini back there.
They don't get the recognition. And I bring up Drew Brees because he's always overshadowed by Rodgers, Brady, and then Manning, of course. It's the same thing with Wilson. For some reason the NFL picks people they want to be the face of their league, and they stick to those guys.
He's had 0 MVP votes, which I'm going to say 2 things. Then we're going to actually get on.
He has Sierra though.
Well, that was one of them. I was going to say he's the MVP because he goes home to Sierra every night, like. Russell Wilson, dude, you're the man. You go home to Sierra, I give you, you're my MVP in my book. And then number 2, dude, the guy, Seahawks have no history at all. Before he showed up there, their only history is Brian Bosworth getting knocked over by Bo Jackson in the end zone. Like, the Seahawks have no history. They have a solid fan base. They were 7-9 the 2 years Pete Carroll was there until Russell Wilson stepped in. He hasn't had a losing season. Not one losing season.
Here's another thing. When Wilson first got there, they didn't win because of him. They kind of won in spite of him. Like, he was a game manager, let's be honest. But now he's the opposite. He doesn't have that much talent. He's running for his life every season. That guy makes plays that no other quarterbacks can make.
One thing
he's the reason they make the playoffs.
And that's why people look at a little bit too, like just like with how he's underrated, like Brees. But you can compare him how he rolls out to like Aaron Rodgers. Because how the Packers never help Aaron Rodgers and they still win. The Seahawks never help Russell Wilson. They still win.
If you look at the Seahawks roster, they have no business winning the amount of games.
They never rebuild. They just keep trudging forward to make playoffs every year.
Yeah.
All right, so I just thought I'd bring that up, though. I just thought that was absolutely ridiculous. They robbed him again.
What's ridiculous is what you're wearing.
This Super Bowl tuxedo?
That thing must be ancient.
Yeah, so Bears fans, if we're able to go to the Super Bowl, start looking up tickets to Tampa Bay this year.
Okay, so we're just going to ignore that comment.
Super Bowl 55, Lynchburg, baby.
So, to be honest, I'm not trying to offend any AFC South fans, but this is a very weak division. The Texans had a stranglehold, and Bill O'Brien has done everything in his power to give this division away. Everything. I would love to be in this division.
His name's Mediocre Bill. He's a mediocre coach and a horrible GM.
On first things first, they made a comparison that I loved hearing. They said Bill O'Brien, when you negotiate with him for a contract, he'll ask you what you want, and then he'll increase by 20% or more. He literally, if they don't get rid of him, each position on the Texans is going to be overpaid, and their players will be the highest paid at their position. He's going to keep resetting the market.
If you're looking for a car during this coronavirus, go to Bill O'Brien because he'll be the best car salesman in the world. I mean, he would literally you don't even have to talk him down to get the car. They'll sell you a Lamborghini or Maserati for like $10,000.
Maserati Mitch, right?
You're damn right.
Well, what we're basically getting at is the Texans had this division, and they could have took a hold of it, and I honestly don't think they did anything to improve their chances of winning it.
Deshaun Watson's a generational stud.
Honestly, I was going to start with the highest grade, but we might as well continue with the Texans. So, with the Texans, I gave them a C for their draft. Honestly, it's because I really don't know much of the players they drafted. I'm a pretty big college football guy, and I also just don't think they drafted very many impact players. So they drafted Blacklock, a defensive tackle from TCU. So that's a decent
He'd
pick.
be a 4th-round pick in my book. I'm just being honest.
But I think they drafted for need. He
had a solid college career, and he's a good D lineman, and he's from TCU, so cool. He stays in state, but it doesn't jump off the page at all.
And their defensive line's getting older. absolutely love J.J. Watt.
Love it, J.J.
One
Watt.
of the greatest defensive players and one
First
of the,
class on and off.
yeah, I was gonna say just a stand-up
Smoking
guy.
wife.
Does so much for Houston. I don't know what his wife has to do with his football ability, but I mean, he's getting up there in age and he's not healthy and he's not the same guy he used to be. So because
But
of
he
that,
still puts fear into the.
well, because of that, they drafted a defensive end from Florida and Greenard, I think, or Greenard. He's pretty raw, talent wise, but it's there. You can't teach talent. You can teach technique and work ethic and whatnot. And I mean, he's learning from the best with JJ
I was
Watt.
gonna say on the positive side with the 2D linemen, they're gonna learn from JJ Watt. Best mentor you could ask for, along with like if you're trying to learn D line or edge rush, you want to learn under Aaron Donald, Khalil Mack, or JJ Watt.
Yeah,
JJ Watt's one of the best to ever do it of all time. So to learn under him, they need depth clearly at the D line. And
well, Kyle, who'd they get rid of in the defensive backfield?
Oh, they got rid of Jonathan Joseph.
Yes.
I love Jonathan Joseph. He was there for what, 10 years? He was solid for the secondary for Houston. I love Jonathan Joseph.
So they drafted John Reed. He's young, but he's going to learn, and they need someone in that position. And then they also, I don't think this will heal at all, along with the Brandon Cook signing. These won't heal the loss of DeAndre Hopkins.
No, geez.
But they got a receiver, Isaiah Coulter. I mean, I feel bad for the guy. You can't live up to what they got rid of.
Dude, the Texans could have drafted 5 receivers, and it's still not going to replace a guy who's an all-pro, top 2, top 3 receiver in the whole NFL, arguably the best hands in the NFL, doesn't drop it.
Mike Thomas has the best hands.
Not even 30 years old at all. It's still a decade of torching defensive backs.
Here's
and
the
you
thing.
gave him up for a guy who's a running back who had one good year and has been hurt ever since, and you gave him a draft pick.
He's also Deshaun Watson's buddy. I mean, both Clemson guys, that's your go-to.
Dude, they're Batman Robin, man. They're peanut butter and jelly, and you literally just broke them up.
Unstoppable combination, and and
you went from being like the Beatles to a garage band overnight.
Well, if I were in Houston, I'd be pretty upset.
Houston, we have a problem, and I love Houston. And speaking of Houston, I want to thank the Texas Tornado, our uncle Jace Man Casey. They gave us all this equipment to start the TwinCast.
They hooked us up with the podcast equipment. And,
so you guys are the MVPs.
Jace Man, our agent's been doing the editing because we're not good with technology.
And I love Houston because you guys all live down there, or relatives, but
stick to watching the Rockets blow.
Yeah, I mean, Houston, you have a problem. And the only good thing you guys have, you have Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson is a stud. I love him. The Bears should have drafted him. I'll never get over that.
He'll be one of the highest paid quarterbacks pretty shortly.
So the good thing is, as much as Bill O'Brien tried to start his own pandemic in Houston, it might be too soon for that joke. But as much as he tried to start his own Texas tornado and destroy Houston, you still have Deshaun Watson standing at the end of all that. So.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad, but we could go on for days about Houston and what they did wrong this offseason. So let's just transition.
I still think they have a shot at the playoffs in our division, though.
Oh, they do.
And with Deshaun Watson, you're never counting out the game with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. No, he'll make plays. He'll win some games, just like we talked about with Russell Wilson. I'm gonna jump now to the opposite side of the division. I gave Jacksonville the highest grade, and I know a lot of viewers are probably like, "Are you kidding me? That's a dumpster fire." Why?
Them or Colts.
If you listen to these draft picks, their first round draft pick, one of them was C.J. Henderson. He easily was graded as a top defensive back in the draft, minus Okuda. But besides Okuda, everybody knew
he could step in and be a team captain day one.
And he's going to be a starter day one. He's fast. He has good ball handling ability or tracking. He can track the ball as a defender.
Well, he was part of
SEC.
Yeah, he was part of that solid Muschamp Florida defense. Florida had no business being in the games last year, especially after their starting quarterback went out.
And who they had to play.
Which when Trask came in, he did a good job for Florida being their quarterback who wasn't supposed to start the season. But that defense kept him in the games, and they had an outstanding season because of their defense.
And he undoubtedly was their top defensive back.
Yeah, exactly.
So he'll guard the top receiver from other teams. So that's good because, I mean, you got rid of Boue and Ramsey.
Ramsey.
They're getting rid of everybody. But
Calais Campbell.
My favorite pick by them is Kalavion Chason from LSU. If you don't know who he is, put on his tape because that guy's a genetic freak.
I was just going to say he's an athletic freak.
He's as athletic as Isaiah Simmons in a different way, but he's
almost as athletic as I am, and
he's okay. Well, he's gonna be like Donnell Hunter, I think, where they had a decent career at LSU, but nothing like too extreme for their talent, ability, and capability. And he's gonna be.
Hunter produces 10 sacks a year.
Oh yeah, Chason will be that dude. Yeah. If they get him in the right package, good luck protecting against him. He's too fast.
As Michael Jordan says, the ceiling's the roof.
It is. He's a huge pick. And then Laviska Shenault Jr. That's a big pick. For a lot of people, he was mocked as the third best receiver, and he had an injury prior to the draft, so he fell.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they need receivers.
Minshew mania, man. I'm in. I love me some Minshew mania.
Yeah.
And if you can get him some weapons, because Chark Jr. last year from
Oh,
LSU,
DJ Chark, yeah.
fantasy owners loved having him. Him and Minshew both came out of left field last year. Like it was supposed to be full starting there, and then nobody expected Chark Jr. put up numbers he did his first year in the NFL. So you have now two really good receivers.
No, actually, I think, in my opinion, Kyle, they're getting a third late in the draft from Texas, a big boy.
Oh yes. So
Colin Johnson.
Yep.
Big boy.
That guy, yeah, he's gonna bring the size. So if you already have speed, he's gonna bring size. And he's a great receiver. If he didn't, his whole last year he was injured, so it just dropped him. Like if
his stock dropped.
Yeah, because of injuries. That's solely because of injuries, and I don't think he has injury history minus last year.
Well, they got lucky that he stayed a year because they would have never got him this late in the draft.
So they got some weapons. They did get a lot of weapons. They have a lot of needs because they were having like a yard sale when they were getting rid of all their players.
Who Fournette and Nagache?
I was just gonna say, yeah. I mean, Fournette, they don't want him there. He doesn't want to be there. The starting D tackle, like Cory just mentioned, he clearly doesn't want to be there. I thought
him and owner having Twitter fights.
I thought that was pretty funny. They had some
Twitter fingers.
Yeah, Twitter fingers, man. They're
keyboard warriors.
Yep. And so they did replace a lot of needs, but they got rid of so many players that were like former Pro Bowlers, all pros. So it is hard to replace
top
them.
Players at their position.
If you're basing solely off of who they drafted, they had a very solid draft. The culture in that locker room, they need a change. I think their head coach is on his last limb, and then Tom Coughlin, I love him. Coached Giants to Super Bowls, but ever since he's kind of been there, his old school mentality doesn't work anymore.
No, it's
like it would have worked like for Michael Jordan and that '90s Bulls team. Yeah, that old school mentality works for somebody like them, but like the players nowadays,
this generation's different. You have to look at the NBA. It's getting that way in NFL now too. The NFL,
kind of weak.
If the players don't like where they're at, they will voice it until they get a leave. Yeah. They cause locker room problems. They go on social media.
And our generation's included in it, but I call it the butthurt generation. It's kind of like you just whine and cry until you get your way, and it shows now the players have realized the power they have. More power to them, more money to them.
Yeah.
But the way Tom Coughlin used to run it, like it's like his way or the highway, they can't do it anymore. Yeah, like the whole not giving him water the whole practice, doing like 4 days, you can't do it anymore. You just can't.
So the next highest grade I had was who a lot of people had as the highest grade, one of the highest in all of the draft boards, was the Indianapolis Colts.
Colts are easily in my top 5 for the best drafts.
And I mean, okay, first off,
they didn't have many holes to begin with.
They drafted Jacob Eason. If you watch college football, you know who he is. He was a starter at Georgia, had an injury, then Jake Fromm came in and kind of took his job. He was one of the highest recruited quarterbacks out of high school. He has all the talent in the world.
He's got the big arm, the big body, and also, so if you would have honestly, if you would have turned off every game by halftime last year, then you could have argued he's going to be the number 1 quarterback taken because the first half he was lights out. That's the thing they got to kind of see. Why was it during like fourth quarter and some things that he kind of tailed off? But like you saw it. I mean, he would put up a lot of times the first half.
He has the potential.
Golden boy. So he's got the upside, and he's going to learn under Philip Rivers.
And it's just exciting for Colts fans to know who's going to be your future. Kyle, you take it away with the running back.
Jonathan Taylor, man. I'm telling you now, going to be by far the best back from this draft. He's going to be a Hall of Famer.
Actually, Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
He's going to be all pro. Okay. He's going to make the Pro Bowl several times. He's downhill like Adrian Peterson, like Walter Payton. He's still that old school downhill back.
He's kind of he's a workhorse and a bruiser, in my opinion.
And he's smart as could be. He could have gotten to an Ivy school for college, which actually means something. And his work ethic, second to none. On top of that, he played 3 years in college football. He's top 5 all-time in rushing yards in history. He had two 2,000-yard seasons and one where he ended up with over 1,900 yards rushing. So almost 3 2,000-yard seasons rushing. He's healthy. The guy's a workhorse. He's a stud. And they already have arguably the best offensive line.
And Marlon Mack.
In NFL and Marlon Mack. Now, when Marlon Mack's contract is up, which I think is after this year or a year or two, they don't have to break the bank paying him if he wants to stay, or they don't have to resign him because they'll have Jonathan Taylor.
I think they're going to have a good 1-2 punch with Mack and Taylor. But it's kind of sad because Taylor literally is one of the best running backs in college football history, and no one ever talked. He didn't get any of the credit this year, fame in his career, or anything.
The problem is, to a fault, people will use that excuse like, "Oh, it's Wisconsin," because they always have. But them and I will always pump out all these offensive linemen, but that doesn't matter. There's no excuse. Like good, like that's like when you say, "Oh, well, they had this coach, they had this quarterback." Yeah, when you want to be a great team, a champion, a dynasty, you usually have to have a good coach, a good leader, a good this. I mean, you work hand in hand.
And he showed you that he can actually be an old school back running the ball 30 times.
Oh yeah,
He does need to work
and he's
on.
still got some speed too, some sneaky speed, even though he's downhill.
His two knocks are his ball
He's a
security.
beast.
He has trouble holding onto the ball, catching it, and fumbling it. That's his biggest problem. But that could be fixed. Look at what Tiki Barber did in his career. That was the only knock on Tiki Barber, and he fixed that. And I mean,
and I think that was a steal for the Colts to get him in the second round, just for the fact that he's clearly round one value, but the running back's so undervalued. So it's round one value, but they got him in the second round because running back's undervalued.
They got a deal. Now, besides him, Pittman Jr., he's also a good pickup. Yeah, the guy doesn't have the speed, doesn't have the size, but you turn on the film and you're like, how does he keep making these plays and catches? And he just does. I don't care what his combine numbers say. He gets open. He's a great route runner, and he's going to come down with the ball in his hands. That's all that matters.
I'm pretty sure he had a different quarterback every year at USC, and he still could put up like 80, 90 catches.
He was the only thing defenses were afraid of.
Yeah, he's as reliable as could be. Everyone knew the ball was going to him. USC's had a couple down years lately. Again, the guy's not the fastest receiver in the class. He's not the best route runner in the class. He's not the biggest in the class. But that's why he's a typical Colt, because it's almost like a mix of Reggie Wayne, Marvin Harrison. He just goes about his business, not elite at anything, but he's reliable. He's going to put up at least, I think this year, because they're going to spread the ball, they're going to run. I think his rookie season, he's going to have 65, 70 catches easy, which isn't a bad rookie season.
Paris Campbell coming on to another year, too.
Yeah, and then you have T.Y. Hilton.
Oh, he'll be hurt by week 5.
So if they could and Trey Burton will be hurt too, so don't count on that, Colts fans. But if he could put up...
They might have someone retire in the preseason.
If he could put up 60-plus catches, that's a good rookie season, because the Colts are going to spread the ball and run the ball a lot too.
Well, so we could go on about more draft picks, but we've kind of mentioned this on all of our team grades. If you can kind of get 3 draft picks to pan out to be starters,
contribute day one,
then you're pretty good. I mean, the rest of their draft was good too. That's why we gave them an A, well, A minus.
Well, we just named 3 already day one like starters.
Yeah, I'm going to end it there because
Easton's a project, but he's going to contribute.
These will be the 3 that will contribute in my opinion.
Might be Phil Rivers last year. He already got Phil Rivers. Congrats to him. He already took a head coaching job.
Yeah, high school football coach.
So good for him.
That's when you know you love football. Mm-hmm. The lowest grade I gave, and somehow they managed to make the AFC Championship, but the Tennessee Titans. So, funny story real quick. Me and Kyle were at the Titans-Saints game last year, and when the Saints won and we left, I was making fun of the Titans to all the fans, saying, have fun watching the Saints in the playoffs.
Weak fan base.
Yeah. Well, I didn't think they were going to make the playoffs. They were 9-7, and story behold, they basically were in longer than we were in the tournament, but Derrick Henry carried.
I was wearing my Bears gear, and I was making fun of them saying they're not going to make the playoffs. I was like, if these fans found me now, I would have nothing to say.
Granted, no offense, AFC was pretty weak besides Baltimore and Kansas
City. Dude, they need to come up with something, too, besides that plastic sword and shield with that tighten up saying and that you're steroided guy running out in the tunnel. And
we're not losing every viewer that's Titans.
I'm just saying, that crowd, dude, I loved it. I like the Titans a lot. I like them. My favorite Super Bowl was the 99 Super Bowl. I wanted them to beat Warner.
Steve McNair, Eddie
I like the Titans, but that fan base, raise up, man. Step up like Bills Mafia, man. Come on, Titans.
I will say,
you have Nashville. You had a team go to the AFC Championship. You're still not selling out games.
Well, what a great season for them, though. That's the second best season in their history. And who would have thought Ryan Tannehill?
Tannehill, you should be literally like bowing down to King Henry because
he owes him half his contract.
Paid because of Derrick Henry. You owe him half your contract. Well, you should be cooking his meals every day now.
He didn't make mistakes, but they talk about his high completion percentage.
You should be his butler.
If you're throwing the ball 12 times, I hope you have a high completion percentage. I mean, come on. He did
a great job, though.
He made plays when he needed to.
When we were at the game against the Saints, dude, he was literally slinging, going back and forth with Drew Brees. There's no argument about it. He was going back and forth dueling with Drew Brees. So props to him.
The big thing this year will be, okay, was it just one of those magical years, or are they going to actually take over this division? Because they have to have confidence and experience from that playoff run. So we all know Derrick Henry, what he's going to do. You can know what he's going to do, and he's still going to do it. I mean, the guy's a beast. He's a man of boys.
I think they're going to lose Logan Ryan, though. I think he wants a little bit too much money there.
Oh,
he's a stud. He
stays open for business. Yeah, he's coming to NOLA, baby.
Yeah,
he's coming to get a ring.
I think they're going to lose him. I think they could.
They got rid of Jarrell Casey for bad.
I was going to say they could use a little bit of improvement on the defensive side. They clearly have a great run game.
Honestly, I feel bad saying this because they have several players picked, but I'm not going to waste time. I'm just going to go with the only one I think that's going to be an impact, and that's Christian Fulton.
Oh yeah,
I love the guy. LSU, DBU. He was very highly recruited out of high school. He had an injury one season. Last year, if you watch, he gives up some big plays, but there's two reasons. You have Joe Burrow and the best offense putting up 40 points a game, so what are the other teams doing? They're passing on you repeatedly. You're going to give up big plays eventually. And then number two,
unless you're the Bears defense.
Derek Stingley Jr. was the top-rated cornerback in all college football as a freshman. And so they're not going to target him. They're going to keep targeting Christian Fulton. So, yes, he's going to give up plays, but he has everything you want in a cornerback, and he's going to be a good cornerback. He's going to be a starter day one.
I think they were lucky he fell to him. I think there was quite a few corners that there were reaches that got taken. Like, I think Arnett's a solid corner, too, though. Same story because his teammate.
Oh, Clemson's.
But I think Terrell, I think Fulton could have been taken arguably in front of both of them. And the thing was with cornerback, because it's just like with D linemen, we always want sacks. We need to see those stats if you're just blocking the run holes and stuffing them and pushing the line back, you're doing your job. It's not always on stats. Same with corners. You don't have to have 5 interceptions a season, this or that. If there's not a bunch of completions or yards gained on you, you're doing your job.
Well, if they don't hear your name, that means you're a good cornerback because they're not they're not trying to pass on you because they know you're gonna.
It's opposite of receiver. You want your name heard.
It's the same. Patrick Peterson's been an All-Pro his whole career, and you never hear about him. You just look at those players, and it's just. Yeah, he's gonna be a plug-in kind of guy. I think he'll be fine once he learns the system, and I absolutely love what they've done there. I think as a franchise, they're turning it around. One of few of Bill Belichick's
disciples.
Yeah,
he outdueled them and outsmarted them.
Oh, that was awesome.
Running the clock with the special teams, just taking the penalties. That's what I was gonna say. So I was not impressed with their draft, but I love their culture and the direction they're going in with their head coach.
I was not impressed with their draft room. That was disturbing. I don't know what was going on.
Yeah, that wasn't funny. I don't know what that was. If anything, I was going to turn the channel. That was kind of disturbing myself, I'd say. I don't know. That was weird. That was about as good as their draft. They didn't, like I said, they didn't seal in draft, but the thing is, they have a culture. They know what they are. Everyone else knows who they are. They'll run it down your throat. They're ground and pound. They'll play defense. They'll run that clock, run it down your throat. Tannehill just has to complete a couple passes. Don't turn the ball over. But, what do they have, back-to-back or 3 straight 9-win seasons? They went far in the playoffs last year, so if they could just get a little more firepower on offense where it's not just so one-sided on Henry's shoulders, and then...
Tannehill got the contract, and it's another year under in the system.
So I mean, we made fun of the AFC South, but you do have where some people are picking the Colts to be that third team in the AFC. Texans, you still have Deshaun Watson, and then...
unless Bill O'Brien gives them up for a bad
And then the Titans went that far last year, so 3 out of the 4 teams might be in the running for the playoffs towards the end of the season.
Well, and the funny part, too, is, I know their locker room and there's a lot of things going on, but I graded Jacksonville as the highest draft grade in this division.
But they're a couple years out.
No, I get that, but I think they'll be fun to watch because of their talent and Minshew.
They have some fun players, but they need a culture change. I mean, they're rebuilding big.
Yeah, 100%. But they're going to be fun to watch.
Rebuilding, but
this division is going to be a fun one because that is up for grabs.
It's up for grabs, yeah. I know the Colts are the popular pick. But to my Houston fan back home, you guys still have Deshaun Watson. Hopefully Bill O'Brien doesn't ruin it anymore.
And hopefully your receivers don't get injured by week 2.
Yeah, well, hopefully David Johnson doesn't.
Yeah, and your running back.
You got to pull out. You have to pull out an insurance policy for him.
And I can't say you have a line because Watson's running for his life. So you can't just have Watson can't just go out and hike the ball to himself and just run. So you do need to stay healthy, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and then Titans, you got King Henry. So it's going to be interesting. I don't think but yeah, Colts, Jags, good draft. It'll be an okay division. So anything else with this one, Corey?
No. We'll go into the AFC North next.
Yeah, we're gonna finish up with the AFC North, which I think is a stacked division.
Oh, this is gonna be one of my favorite divisions.
We're gonna finish up with that this next week, and then after that, we're gonna get into who we think is gonna win like the preseason awards, like MVP, Coach of the Year, Executive of the Year. Then after that, we're gonna actually do deeper dives into looking into the schedule, who's going to win division, playoff matchup, Super Bowl, everything. So we got a lot coming your way, guys.
That'll be a good prediction. So, Kyle, I'm sorry, but you won't be able to talk about the Bears much if we're doing playoffs and Super Bowl.
That's another crime. We're ranked 26 in power rankings. Are you kidding? We have a top 5 defense. We're healthy. We have 2.
You have a quarterback that hasn't played more than 13
We have Trubisky, the truth, and a former Super Bowl MVP quarterback who dual Tom Brady behind center battling it out to see who's going to be leading the machine, the myth, the legend, the Bears, man. So we got them battling out. Our offense, as long as our line.
All right, so I'm going to end this before Kyle rambles some nonsense.
I'm just saying, man.
Thanks for
listening.
Horse.
The Bears are the dark horse.
Thanks for listening. Go Saints, who dat?
Watch The Last Dance. MJ, man. Michael Jordan, GOAT.